I'm leaving you for him, Hannah said, standing in our living room with her arms crossed, waiting for me to fall apart. I just smiled, took a sip of my whiskey, nodded once. Okay. That single word seemed to shatter something in her. She'd expected tears, begging, maybe rage. She got none of it. I watched the confusion spread across her face like ink in water, and for the first time in 13 years of marriage, I felt completely free. I'm 44. She's 41. We'd been married since we were practically kids. Me at 31, her at 28. No children, thank God. Just a house, 2 cars, a dog that liked her better than me, and a marriage that had been circling the drain for the last 3 years. The him she mentioned was Derek Chun, her colleague at the marketing firm downtown. I'd met him twice. Once at a company barbecue where he'd grilled salmon and talked about his Peloton stats. Once at a Christmas party where he'd worn a velvet blazer and quoted poetry nobody asked for. Both times, Hannah had laughed at his jokes a little too hard, touched his arm a little too long. I'd known for 7 months. That's it, she said, her voice rising. That's all you have to say? What do you want me to say? I don't know. Something. Anything. Fight for us. Ask me to stay. I set my glass down on the coffee table, careful to use a coaster. Old habits. Would you? Would I what? Stay? If I asked. She opened her mouth, closed it. Her silence was answer enough. Then why waste both our time? I said. She stared at me like I'd grown a second head. You're just giving up? After 13 years. I'm not giving up, Hannah. I'm letting go. There's a difference. Her face flushed red. This wasn't going the way she'd scripted it in her head. I could almost see the fantasy crumbling, the one where I'd collapse, beg her to reconsider, maybe even threaten Derek. Where she'd get to feel wanted, important, fought over. Where she'd get to play the tragic heroine torn between 2 men. Instead, she got a husband who poured himself another drink and turned on the basketball game. I can't believe you, she said, voice shaking. I can't believe this is how you're reacting. How should I react? Like you care? Like this matters to you? I looked at her then, really looked at her. She was still beautiful, sharp cheekbones, dark hair she'd recently cut into a bob, expensive yoga clothes that hugged her gym-sculpted body. But somewhere along the way, I'd stopped seeing her as my wife and started seeing her as a roommate I occasionally had sex with. Someone whose Netflix suggestions annoyed me. Someone who criticized how I loaded the dishwasher. It does matter, I said quietly. But you made your choice 7 months ago. She froze. What? The weekend conference in Denver. When you told me you had to share a room with your boss because the hotel overbooked. Except your boss was at his daughter's wedding in Seattle that weekend. I checked. The color drained from her face. The late nights at the office. The new lingerie you never wore for me. The way you started your morning runs at 6 instead of 7, right when Derek started his. The phone calls you took in the garage. The text that made you smile in ways I haven't in years. You knew? Her voice was barely a whisper. I knew. And you said nothing? What was there to say? You'd already checked out. I just gave you the space to figure out what you wanted. She looked like she might cry or scream or throw something. Maybe all 3. So you just let me cheat on you? What kind of man does that? The kind who stopped loving you enough to care. The words hung in the air like smoke. True and terrible and irreversible. She grabbed her purse from the couch, hands shaking. I'm staying at my brother's tonight. I'll come back tomorrow to get my things. Take your time. I'll be at work. She walked to the door, stopped with her hand on the knob. You're really okay with this? I'm really okay with this. She left. The door clicked shut. Our dog, Biscuit, whined from the bedroom, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. I finished my drink, turned up the volume on the game, and felt nothing. No heartbreak. No anger. Just a strange, weightless relief. Around 11, I called my lawyer. Greg, it's me. She wants a divorce. Greg Donovan had been my attorney since I'd started my consulting business 8 years ago. Sharp, ruthless, expensive. About damn time. You finally tell her you know. She told me first. She's leaving me for her colleague. Documented. Extensively. I'd spent 7 months gathering evidence. Not out of anger or revenge, just pragmatism. Text messages recovered from her laptop backups. Credit card statements showing hotel charges on nights she claimed to be working late. Photographs from Derek's Instagram showing them at restaurants she'd said she'd been to with the girls. Even a recording of a phone call where she told him she loved him, captured accidentally when she'd pocket-dialed me. I hadn't confronted her because I wanted her to make the first move. Wanted her to be the one to pull the trigger. Wanted the moral high ground so solid it was basically bedrock. This is going to be the easiest case I've ever handled, Greg said. and I could hear the smile in his voice. She's got nothing. The prenup alone protects your business assets, but with adultery? We're talking alimony off the table, clean split of marital property, possibly even her paying your legal fees. I don't want to bury her, Greg. Just a clean exit. Your funeral, or rather, your extremely expensive freedom. But with what you've got, this'll be over in weeks. We talk strategy. He'd file first thing Monday morning. Adultery-based divorce. No-fault states made it easier, but Colorado still considered infidelity in property division. I kept meticulous records of every asset, every account, every investment. The house was in my name, bought before we married. My business was protected. Our joint accounts held maybe 40 grand. We'd split it down the middle, and I'd still come out ahead. I slept better that night than I had in years. The next morning, I went for a run. Came back, showered, made eggs and bacon. Read the news. Drank coffee. It was barely 9:30 when my phone rang. Chris Hartley, Hannah's younger brother. We'd always gotten along. He was a good kid, 36, worked in finance, had just gotten engaged to a sweet woman named Patricia. Hey Chris, what's up? What did you do? His voice was frantic, high-pitched. Come again. Hannah showed up at my place last night, crying. Said you two are getting divorced. Said you didn't even care. Said you smiled? What the hell, man? I refilled my coffee. She told me she's leaving me for another man. I accepted it. Pretty simple. Simple? She's devastated. She said you were cold. Cruel. Like you didn't even know her. Chris, did she mention why she's leaving? Silence. She said you two grew apart. That you stopped trying. Did she mention Derek? More silence. Longer this time. The guy she's been sleeping with for 7 months. The one she's leaving me for. Did she mention him? She said, there's someone else, but that it only happened because you checked out emotionally. I laughed. Couldn't help it. Right? Classic. It's my fault she cheated because I didn't give her enough attention. Chris, I'm not trying to poison you against your sister, but you should know the full story before you come at me like I'm the villain. What story? I told him. Not everything. Not the nitty-gritty evidence or the private investigator reports I'd compiled. Just the broad strokes. The timeline. The lies. The hotel receipts. The way I'd known for months and said nothing, waiting for her to make her choice. By the end, he wasn't saying anything, just breathing heavily into the phone. She cheated on you, he said finally. For 7 months. At minimum. And you just let her? I didn't let her do anything, Chris. She's a grown woman. She made her choices. I just chose not to beg someone to stay who clearly wanted to leave. But the way she was crying, man, she really thought you'd fall apart. She kept saying you didn't care, that you never loved her. I loved her for a long time. But people change. We changed. And at a certain point, I realized I was staying out of habit, not love. When I found out about Derek, it just confirmed what I already knew. He was quiet for a long moment. What happens now? I filed for divorce this morning. Adultery-based. It'll be fast and clean. She can have half the joint accounts. I keep my business and the house. She can keep her car and her 401k. No alimony. No drama. She's going to lose her mind when she finds out you filed. Probably. But she made her bed. Now she gets to lie in it. With Derek. He laughed despite himself. You're handling this way better than I would. I had 7 months to process it, Chris. She's just getting started. Fair. Hey, for what it's worth. You were always good to her. Better than she deserved, probably. I appreciate that. Patricia and I are still on for dinner next month, right? Assuming you don't want a rain check given, everything. Wouldn't miss it. You two are the real deal. Yeah, well, let's hope we do better than you guys. You will. You actually like each other. He laughed again, this one's sadder. That obvious, huh? To anyone paying attention. We hung up. I went back to my coffee, my newspaper, my quiet Saturday morning. Around noon, Hannah texted me. You filed for divorce. Yes. Without even discussing it with me? You said you were leaving. I'm expediting the process. I can't believe you're doing this. You don't get to leave me and then be mad that I'm not fighting to keep you. We need to talk. Talk to my lawyer, Greg Donovan. I'll text you his number. This is insane. This is over. I blocked her number. Sent Greg's contact info through email instead. Then I called my best friend, Marcus, and asked if he wanted to grab lunch. Celebrating or grieving? He asked. Neither. Just hungry. We met at this burger joint we'd been going to since college. Marcus knew everything, had watched my marriage deteriorate in real time, had told me years ago that Hannah was bad news. I defended her then. Stupid loyalty to a ghost of a relationship. So she finally pulled the trigger, he said, biting into a bacon cheeseburger. Yep. And you're good. Weirdly, yeah. I feel like I just put down something heavy I'd been carrying for way too long. That's because you have been. Man, I've watched you shrink yourself for years trying to make that woman happy. Nothing was ever enough. He wasn't wrong. Early in our marriage, things had been good. We'd traveled, laughed, had sex on the kitchen counter at 2 in the morning. But somewhere around year 7, things shifted. She'd gotten promoted, started making real money, started running with a faster crowd, yoga retreats in Bali, wine tastings in Napa. Meanwhile, I was building my consulting firm, working 70-hour weeks, trying to establish myself. We became ships passing in the night. And when we did dock in the same harbor, we fought. About money, about time, about whose career mattered more, about why I didn't want to go to her company parties, about why she didn't support my business decisions. Then the fight stopped. We just existed. Parallel lives under the same roof. And honestly, that was worse than fighting. At least conflict meant we still cared enough to engage. When did you know it was over? Marcus asked. Our anniversary. Year 12. I made reservations at that Italian place she loves. Bought flowers. She canceled 2 hours before because Derek needed help on a pitch. Cold. I ate alone. Drank a bottle of wine. Went home and she was already asleep. Didn't even apologize the next day. That's when I knew. And the cheating? Just confirmation. I hired the PI 3 months after that. He had photos within a week. Marcus shook his head. You're a better man than me. I'd have blown everything up immediately. What's the point? Revenge? Drama? I wanted out with my dignity and assets intact. Mission accomplished. My phone buzzed. Chris again. Hannah's having a breakdown. She called Mom. Now Mom's calling me. This is a mess. Tell your mom I'm happy to talk to her, but the story doesn't change. Hannah cheated. Hannah left. I accepted it. Mom wants to know if there's any chance you'd reconcile. 0. That's what I told her. She's not happy. Sorry you're in the middle of this. Not your fault, man. Talk later. By Sunday evening, I'd heard from 3 more of Hannah's family members. Her Aunt Diane, who'd always liked me. Her cousin Kevin, who wanted my side before passing judgment. Her father, who called me a good man caught in a bad situation and apologized for his daughter's behavior. That last one almost broke me. Richard Hartley had been more of a father to me than my own dad ever was. We'd bonded over fishing trips and baseball games. He'd taught me how to change my oil and tile a bathroom. Hearing the disappointment in his voice, not at me, but at Hannah, made everything feel suddenly, painfully real. I don't know where we went wrong with her, he said, voice thick. She used to be such a sweet kid. She's still figuring herself out. Richard, people do stupid things when they're confused. That's generous of you. She doesn't deserve it. Maybe not. But you do. You've been good to me. That doesn't change just because your daughter and I didn't work out. He was quiet for a moment. You'll always be family to me. You know that, right? I do. Thank you. After we hung up, I sat on the back porch with Biscuit, watching the sun set. The dog curled up at my feet, content. I realized I'd spent years trying to be enough for someone who would never be satisfied. Not because I was lacking, but because she didn't actually want me. She wanted the idea of me. The stable husband. The successful businessman. The guy who looked good at company events and didn't embarrass her in front of her friends. But she didn't want the real me. The guy who preferred dive bars to wine bars. Who'd rather watch a game than go to a gallery opening. Who valued loyalty and honesty over ambition and status. Derek could have her. He probably deserved her. Monday morning, Greg called with an update. She lawyered up. Some hotshot named Patricia Vance. Good for her. Not really. Vance is expensive and Hannah doesn't have the grounds to fight this. The prenup's ironclad. The evidence is overwhelming, and Colorado courts don't look kindly on proven adultery. Vance will bill her $50,000 to tell her what I'm telling you for free. Take the deal. What deal are you offering? Clean split of joint assets. She keeps her car, her 401k, her personal accounts. You keep your business, the house, your 401k, your personal accounts. No alimony. No spousal support. Each party pays their own legal fees. Done in 6 weeks, maybe 8. And if she fights it, then we go to court, I present the evidence, and she walks away with even less plus a judgment on record. Her call. Send the offer. Already did. Ball's in her court now. That night, Hannah called from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. We need to talk, she said, her voice raw. There's nothing to talk about. Please. Just meet me for coffee. 1 hour. That's all I'm asking. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at a Starbucks near her brother's place. Neutral territory. She looked awful. No makeup, hair in a messy ponytail, eyes swollen from crying. Part of me felt bad. The other part remembered the hotel receipts. I made a mistake, she said immediately. Okay. That's it. Just okay. What do you want me to say, Hannah? That I forgive you? That we can work it out? We can't. We're done. You don't mean that. I absolutely mean that. She reached across the table, tried to grab my hand. I pulled away. Don't. I ended it with Derek. It's over. It was a stupid mistake, and I'm sorry. You're sorry you got caught. Not sorry you did it. That's not true, isn't it? You were perfectly happy sneaking around until I didn't react the way you wanted. Now you're panicking because reality isn't matching your fantasy. She started crying. Big, heaving sobs that drew stares from other customers. I didn't comfort her. Didn't reach out. Just sat there, unmoved. I thought you'd fight for me, she said through tears. I thought you'd care. I did care, Hannah. For years. I cared when you forgot our anniversary. I cared when you stopped coming to my company events. I cared when you started treating me like an inconvenience instead of a partner. But you know what? At some point, caring becomes self-destruction. And I'm done destroying myself for someone who doesn't value me. I value you. No, you don't. You value what I represent. Stability. Security. A safety net in case things don't work out with Derek. But you don't actually value me. The person. And that's okay. We grew apart. It happens. But I'm not going to pretend we can fix this when we both know it's been broken for years. She wiped her eyes. The prenup. The evidence. You planned this. I prepared for it. Big difference. This is cruel. No, Hannah. Cruel would be dragging this out. Cruel would be making you think we had a chance when we don't. Cruel would be taking you to court and destroying you financially and emotionally just because I can. I'm being kind. I'm giving you a clean exit with your dignity mostly intact. Take the deal. Move on. Be with Derek if that's what you want. But leave me out of it. She stared at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. Maybe the man she married had died somewhere around year 10, suffocated under the weight of a loveless marriage. And who I was now, this calm, detached version, was someone new. Someone who'd learned that self-preservation wasn't selfish. I don't know how to do this without you, she whispered. You'll figure it out. You're smart, capable, successful. You don't need me. You never really did. You just got comfortable with having me around. She left the coffee shop without another word. I sat there for another 20 minutes, finishing my latte, feeling nothing but relief. 2 weeks later, she signed the papers. Greg called me at work. It's done. She took the deal. Papers are filed. You're officially a free man in 6 weeks, pending court approval. That was fast. Told you. When they've got nothing to stand on, they fold. How you feeling? Good. Really good, actually. What's next for you? Honestly, I have no idea. And that feels amazing. For the first time in 13 years, my life was entirely my own. No one to report to. No one to compromise with. No one to disappoint. Just me, my dog, my business, and infinite possibility. I sold the house 3 months after the divorce was finalized. Too many memories, and most of them bad. Bought a condo downtown with a view of the mountains. Smaller, simpler mine. Ran into Hannah once, about 6 months post-divorce. She was at a restaurant with Derek, looking happy. I was there with a date, Natalie, a photographer I'd met through work. Beautiful, funny, easy to be around. Hannah saw me. Her smile faltered. Derek didn't notice, kept talking about something enthusiastically. I nodded at her, polite. She nodded back. And that was it. No drama. No lingering feelings. Just two people who used to know each other, moving on with their separate lives. Natalie asked who that was. I told her. Oh, she said. She's pretty. She is. But pretty isn't enough. Not even close. Natalie smiled. Good answer. Looking back, the moment Hannah told me she was leaving was the best thing that ever happened to me. Not because I wanted the marriage to end, but because it forced me to confront what I'd been avoiding for years. We weren't happy. We weren't even pretending to be happy. We were just going through the motions, two people too stubborn or scared to admit defeat. Her leaving gave me permission to stop fighting for something that was already dead. And my calm reaction, the smile, the acceptance, wasn't cruelty. It was clarity. It was 7 months of grief compressed into a single moment of understanding. She wanted me to break so she could feel wanted. So she could be the prize 2 men fought over. So she could matter. But I'd already let her go long before she walked out that door. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is refuse to play the role they've written for you in their story. I'm 45 now. Single, successful, genuinely happy for the first time in years. Natalie and I are taking things slow, no pressure, just enjoying each other's company. Biscuit's getting old, but still follows me everywhere. My business is thriving. And every time I think about that night, Hannah standing in our living room, waiting for me to shatter, I smile. Because the man she was married to might have broken, but the man I became, he was already free.